Hi, welcome back to Far From Eden. Before I forget, if you like this video, let's get started. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. My little dog usually reminds me. She might remind me during this one because she's thinking about her treats. But anyways, you know, the statistic, women are finally sort of admitting, so silly to admit that a fact is true, but they're finally admitting that they file for divorce 70% of the time. They're admitting that figure. I've seen it on various podcasts that they'll admit it. Now, some would say that the real statistic is 80%. And others will say that, well, if they have an advanced degree, they file 90% of the time. Either way, we all know that they file more. Now that they're admitting it, they have to follow through with, yes, but why? But why are they doing it? It's obviously because of something the man is doing wrong. And when they're put on the spot in mixed company, they will talk about various types of abuse, be it financial, be it physical in some way, various types. The Duluth wheel of abuse is pretty much, you can find something on there. It's like a menu. It's a menu for women when they need leverage. But what is it really? What is it really? I'm one that will say time and time again that women will tell on themselves. We do. We tell on ours. We like to talk. And we don't realize that it's very revealing. Even a lie is revealing. But guess what we also do? We talk to our girlfriends about things. TikTok has started to become more like chick talk because they go on there and they talk to the camera and they say things that some of which I recognize as like, oh, wait, this used to be the type of thing that would be said to me in confidence. But they're just blasting it everywhere. Times change, but I'm going to show you today the advice women give each other and what they've revealed about their own reasons for leaving. And it is not going to be anything found on that reel. It isn't. It's going to be the truth. So let's take a look at it. This first woman is going to talk about how tricky it is when you don't have she's not going to say good excuse, but that's what I'll say. So without further ado, let's take a look at what this obviously well-balanced individual has to share.
Leaving a good man. Now that's hard. It's easy when they're an asshole to you or they really hurt you. It's actually easier to move on because you're upset, and sometimes that upset or that rage can give you power to move on. But what happens when you're with a good man but you feel unsatisfied and you want to leave but you're scared to leave because you're worried you're not going to find something better? I'm going to tell you how to tell it's actually time to leave. You should do it. You're making the right choice. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, why do I think they're good, right? Like, whose definition of a good am I using? Because a lot of times women will say, well, I should stay with him. He's nice. And other people say he's a good husband. And what you're using as your definition of a good man or a good husband is really what other people are telling you. And other people are like, well, this should be enough for you. But if it's not enough.
This is an instructional guide to a woman to show her, hey, this man you think is so good, let me show you, no, he's not. Let me twist your brain so you can look at him and be angry and realize he's not good. Reality is just a construct, right? Facts aren't important. Feelings can change, right? So if you feel like he's a good man, This lady's going to instruct us on how to not feel that way anymore, to make it easier to leave him.
Enough for you, then it's possible that this person is a good man, but it's not good in the way you need. So you got to figure out what your definition of a good man is, because relationships are not one size fits all. And just because somebody is happy with a certain kind of person and they'd be fine with it doesn't mean you have to be fine with it. So look at this good man, and you can love all the good qualities. That's fine. But ask yourself, what am I missing that I fundamentally need? What am I not feeling that I really need to feel? And get really honest with yourself and look at what's missing. And then ask yourself, from what I know of this person, if I were to communicate my...
If you have to work that hard to figure out what's wrong with him, there's nothing wrong with him. Something's wrong with you. But we're never looking inwardly, are we? It's never like, well, what's my problem? Isn't it what's my responsibility? What's my duty? You hear none of that. It's just, let's figure out what's wrong with him so you can leave and tell yourself you deserve better. So flippant. No concern for him, no concern for his heart, his pain, what's he going through, what are his needs? It's non-existent with these women. It's absolutely non-existent. There's no appreciation for your heart, or that you have one. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's continue.
Request to them. If I were to work with them on this, can they really do this? Can they really provide this? Or is what I'm asking, is what I want so different from who they inherently are that even if they tried and tried, they wouldn't be my definition of a good man? By the way, how you can tell it's a real need and not just something coming from your ego is, think about, if I never had these experiences that I want, these feelings that I want in my life, in a relationship, would I really feel that I truly actually missed out? It's easy to look at other people's relationships, or you see their photos on Instagram and you're like,
okay, just in case anybody's thinking, this lady's so far out there, there's no way, women don't really talk like that. Yes, they do. This is what we would consider, not me, but what many of them consider a logical conversation. A valid conversation based in facts. I guarantee you that's what they think. And this is the type of thing that they say when it's like woman to woman or woman and a couple women, but now it's just blasted all over. And it's, here you go. This is, and it's heartbreaking, because you're like, really? This is the kind of conversation that breaks up families? Yes.
I want that. I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about really fundamental things that you need, like feeling loved, feeling valued, feeling seen, feeling adventurous, like whatever it is that's really important to you. If you were with this person for the rest of your life and you got to the end of your life and you never had those things that you're realizing are, these are what I really need, would it feel like you'd missed out tremendously? Would it feel like you'd missed the mark on your life? If that's the case, then even if this is a good man, it's probably not the right man for you. And the second question to ask yourself to figure out if you should leave a good man is, what is my capacity to receive love right now? Am I fully open to receive love? Am I in a space where I feel really good with myself and really worthy of love? Do I feel that love should be happy and healthy and safe most of the time? Because sometimes people push away a good man because they really do have relationship blocks or intimacy blocks, or they're avoidant and they can't receive good love because it feels so different to the negative ways they feel about themselves or the negative things they learned love was as a child. But if you're a person who's like, no, like I'm good with myself, really, truly, I've already done some healing, I feel like I have a big capacity to receive love, I'm just not getting everything I want here. That's different than, okay, this person's
evidence that a lot of pop psychology has not been beneficial. All of this gobbledygook, honestly, it's none of this is about just accepting. You're going to get to the end of your life and go, yeah, I didn't have every single thing that a person can possibly have in a lifetime. And where do we women at least get the idea that we should have all these things that she's kind of alluding to, but not specifically saying? Like a lot of times women are like, I want to travel or whatever. We think that because of television, movies, and our smartphones, seeing what celebrities do, being told this is how you enjoy life, this is what makes you happy. And we're very susceptible to it. And so, yeah, you're going to get to your end of your life and you're going to be like, wow, I didn't have everything Kim Kardashian had. Like, no, because you don't know what's important. That's the problem. Simplicity. And there aren't that many things that truly fulfill a person. And many of the things that we'll say modern women or modern thinking, or however you want to talk about it, think that is fulfilling: career, travel, all that. It's not. At the end of the day, it's not. It's not what you're going to think about on your deathbed.
Giving me love and I'm rejecting it because I have unhealed wounds with it. And this is a question you should ask, but people almost never ask it when they're considering leaving somebody. And it's, am I the best match for this person? Am I truly the best match for this person? Am I truly every single thing they want and need? They might be telling you that, like, oh, you're the perfect person. But I really want you to look at, are they getting every single thing they want and need with me truly? Or are they missing out on things that are fundamental to them, but maybe they're just, used to the relationship, used to the comfort?
Any chance you could, I don't know, accommodate them for their needs and not just throw them away and say, well, I guess I'm not what you need. Bye. Yeah, that's a nice way to assuage your guilt. I'm sorry, I called that out. That's what she's saying. Here's a good way to make you feel not so guilty, because you're being so selfless. You're like, look, I'm really not good for you. It's not you, it's me. We don't believe you.
Or they just, are okay with settling. Because typically, if the relationship really doesn't fundamentally work with you, it's not one where you get all the things that are essential. The same thing's happening for them, whether they realize it or not. So sometimes envisioning them finding somebody more suited for them can help you realize that maybe the thing to do really is to leave a good man. Just because someone's a good man and maybe they provide, or they haven't abandoned the family, doesn't mean that you are getting all the things you fundamentally want and need. Emotional connection matters too. Passion and intimacy matters too. Having adventures and laughing and being on the same page mentally, emotionally, spiritually, really feeling like you're with somebody who's a true match, really feeling like you're with somebody who you don't get tired of being with them. You just love being with them so much. Like, that matters too. And in my definition, that's really a good man.
You're supposed to be with your person, with your forever partner for decades. You're gonna be a little tired. You're gonna have heard all the stories. Lola, stop it. She's gonna mess up the unicorn blanket because she does that to get my attention, to try to get me to take her outside so she can come back inside and get treats, because she has me trained. So you anyway, I lost my train of thought. It's easy to do. I got MS brain, but it doesn't matter. Look at she's not thinking long term. I have found it to be interesting. Do we chicas think long term? Are we very first ordered thinking? Like right here. Because this is not thinking about when you've been with somebody for 50 years. You're going to know all their jokes. You're going to know all their stories. They're going to be a little on your nerves. Well, of course, you're going to be unfulfilled in life in some ways. Come on, lady. That's not the makings of a marriage. That's not I don't want any of you to get married. Marriage, government contracts are bad. Women get benefits for breaking it. So no, I'm not saying that. I'm not one of those conservatives that say, do your duty and get married and be a good guy. No, no. What I'm saying is, if things were better and we didn't have the court systems we had and we didn't have that, the idea that you're going to not ever get bored with somebody or tired, you go through things together. People get sick, relatives pass, times get tough, and people have a hard time coping, and you're not going to be your best self for sometimes a few years. You don't throw in the towel. You don't, because it's not about getting all of your needs met. It's not about that. And trying to assuage your guilt by basically like, it's not you, it's me. I'm not the right one for you. Please, lady.
Somebody who matches all the things that you require, somebody who meets and exceeds your expectations. I am a love coach that's known for helping women attract what I call a top 1% man. No settling, getting every single thing you really want and more kind of love. My clients attract in relationships and partners so good. People literally are like, how did you find this person? Like, and they're not missing fundamental things in relationship because I don't believe that you have to settle. So I help them hold the space and heal within so they can attract in somebody who really meets all of their needs. That's real, true love. If you are single and looking for that, or you're leaving a relationship and you want to set the stage so you don't just leave this and then be single forever, or leave this for something slightly better, but you really find that top high level love where you are just so thrilled to be with that person and you're getting everything you want and need and they are too, message me to learn more about private coaching options with me, because I'll never tell you to settle.
Wow. Wow, you guys. No. No. But wait, there's more. I didn't. She's a love coach. What even is that? Anyway, let's look at the next one. Okay. So the next one is going to be a lady who is talking about her own experience. And boy, we love to do something and then tell everybody else why they should do the same. That makes us feel better about what we did, even if what we did was terribly wrong.
I suspect that many of you have had a similar experience to the personal one I'm about to share. It's essentially a straw that broke the camel's back moment that occurred at the end of my marriage. I think it played a significant part in allowing me to get to a place where I could give myself permission to leave a relationship that hadn't been fulfilling to me for quite some time. On the day that this occurred, I was almost observing the dynamic that was playing out rather than actually being in it. I wasn't reactive. I wasn't angry. I was.
Is it me, or does that remind you of a psychotic break? Or almost like you're totally removed of feelings and you're just almost like sociopathy. I'm not calling her any of those things. I'm just saying that in my mind, that's what it reminded me of. Weird.
Observing it from a place of, oh, this again. This is fascinating. It was indicative of a problematic pattern that had played out a number of times over the course of our marriage. And because I'm a direct communicator, I had brought it up each time that it had occurred in different variations. And I had explained, when this plays out like this, I don't love it. It makes me feel kind of invisible. It makes me feel like your needs trump mine. And on this particular day, the way that I perceived it was, there's only going to be so much investment from my ex-husband to make sure that I feel really valued and really celebrated and really special. And I thought, I don't want to sign on for this anymore. If I keep signing on for this, the bar stays here for me, right? I don't see how I can raise the bar for myself within this relationship in terms of the experiences that are going to be offered to me. And so the internal shift that occurred was one of
incredibly entitled. The experiences that are going to be offered to me. And she said she's a direct communicator. Lady, you sound like you're blunt. argumentative, and maybe a bit rude. I'm saying maybe. I said you sound. I don't know you, but I'm a direct communicator, and I would bring it up every single time. Browbeat much? Nag much? Entitled much? Just awful. Awful. They do that. They break up like as if they deserved some kind of movie treatment, to be wined and dined and to be made to feel a certain way. Why do you think you get that? Why do you think that's his job? Women think it's your job to make them feel any which way, to celebrate them constantly for decades. He's probably tired. You know? How are you making him feel? With your constant, I'm going to point this out every 5 seconds and I'm a direct communicator.
Something's missing and I want more, to I know I deserve more. I know I do. And it's not any kind of a statement about, the character of my ex-husband. As I've been saying, he's a really wonderful man. Is more awareness around this is not a good fit for me anymore. And I'm depriving myself of life experiences that I want and I know I deserve. And that's a hard shift to make when you're with a nice guy, because you're hearing all kinds of stories of really incredible women dealing with deplorable behavior from men. So you dismiss your knowing that you deserve more. You actually tell yourself, who am I to think I deserve more? They're wonderful women, and look what they're dealing with. On this day, my kids were also home, and so they were observing this, and they saw.
No. They were observing what now? Well, I'm sorry, lady. You shouldn't let them. You wanted them to. If they're observing this, then you wanted them to. You wanted them to see it a certain way. And you're going to use them. I haven't seen the rest of this. My blood is boiling. Children involved. My children were home at this time. Maybe they were adults. That's a little better. But I can tell you, even being an adult, when your parents get divorced, it's still really heartbreaking. Anyway, let's continue with this silliness. I'm saying that because I'm trying to say nice words.
Saw it in the way that I did. I wasn't saying anything to them, but each one of them came up to me and said, "Mom, are you okay? I'm really sorry. This is playing out like this." And then they were trying to compensate. And I thought, this just isn't okay.
Okay. No.
I suspect that many of you have had a similar experience.
Okay. And that's where she ended it. Yeah. Well, what I think is, oh, you didn't say anything to them. Well, did you go, were you like this? Were you like this? Were you like? Because that's why they came up to you. That's why they said things to you. They always use the children. In one way or another, they will use the children. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. First of all, with this one, we know she's smart because she's wearing glasses. She has a notebook and a pen. So clearly, we should listen to her. I'm being sarcastic for anyone who is sarcastically challenged. That's how I deal with these things sometimes. Okay. Here we go. Slightly different angles on each one, and I did that on purpose, but there's a very strong common theme.
A question I get asked a lot is, how do I leave my husband? And yes, we can talk about like all the logistics or the checklist or how to get your ducks in a row and all of those things, but it really doesn't, none of that matters unless you decide that you're done. Like, you need to be sick enough of his shit, sick enough of your own shit, meaning the stories that you tell yourself to allow yourself to stay. Like, oh, I can't, I'm worried about financial independence, or, I need to stay for the kids to keep us together, or you're
Did you catch that? Don't tell yourself you need to stay for the kids. Don't tell yourself that. Don't do that crazy talk. Stay for the kids. Come on. What are you thinking, woman?
worried about like what other people will think, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And at the end of the day, like while those things are valid and like I'm not dismissing your emotional experience of that, I'm also calling bullshit on your story because I was there. I did the same thing. I told myself there, like because of the kids and because of being scared to do things alone, like that I couldn't leave, and I stayed so much longer than I needed to because of those excuses. And that's what they were. They were excuses. Like you, if you want it bad enough, you're gonna figure out how to dig your heels in and do it. And like, so whatever that looks like for you, maybe you need to write down like all of the ways that your husband is not showing up in the relationship, and all of the countless times that you guys have already had the conversations about like, can we please work together on this? Because I know it's happened. I know that you have not gotten to this point just by randomly waking up one day and being like, I'm kind of bothered by this one thing that he's doing. No, it's repetitive behaviors. You've had the conversations, you've tried different modalities, and it's time to stop mothering him because you are not his mother.
Just gonna say, when your husband just won't stop misbehaving and he won't do what you want him to do all the time. And basically, how come every time I pause it, they look crazy? It's weird. That's a weird coincidence. Like I've thought that several times and I was like, every time I get the crazy eyes every time I pause. Anyway, it kind of threw me for a loop. I looked at her and I lost it. But yeah, they, okay, let's just keep going.
You guys are supposed to be partners, and it's time to stop trying to drag this dead weight with you and decide.
You're not supposed to be partners. You're not. You're supposed to be complementary. And a lot of times, these women are expecting the man to be there for them emotionally the way their girlfriends are. And men just don't operate like that. They don't. And if they do, you're going to divorce them too because you don't respect them. So, men, you can't win either way. You can betify yourself, and she's going to like that a little bit because you're being like her girlfriend. She's going to ditch you eventually because at the end of the day, she doesn't respect you. And when bad times come and you're deferring to her and doing things her way, it's going to feel a lot of anxiety. But if you're a man, she's going to be mad that you're a man and you think like a man, you behave like a man, and you are a man. And she's going to resent that you're not her partner. And most men don't even look at it that way. Anyway, I was going to say, because they know they don't expect their woman to sacrifice the way they would or be physically strong or brave the way they are. But women expect men to be as emotionally available and to read your mind and at the same time, also sort of be like a Chad. It doesn't exist. This is movie land. It's not fairy tale land. Fairy tales are serious. We read them on Sundays to find out truth that we used to always know. So I won't say it's a fairy tale. It might be Disney. It's a Disney dream. It's movies where these women get these expectations.
Decide for yourself that you are worthy of something better than what you've been settling for. That is how you leave your husband. A question?
Okay. That just seems super simple. Can't believe I ever thought that it would be difficult to break up a marriage. Oh yeah, it's not. Oh, okay. On to the next one. By the way, when I am curating TikToks to present things to you, an interesting thing occurs. And I might have said this on a previous video too, but I'm going to repeat it. I sometimes when I'm looking for the women who have had difficult dates or this, that, or the other, and I'm trying to find a certain type of woman, right? Anything I'm trying to find, let's say, TikTok takes me to two things. The algorithm directs me. And since I'm not there to actually be on TikTok, I'm there to, be distanced from it, right? And call it out. So I'm not sucked into it. I'm aware that it's trying to find what I'm looking for, but then direct me because, it's Chinese owned, it's communist, it's trying to socially engineer and it's doing a great job, super successful. Yay. So it takes me to two things. It takes me to this type of content about when you should leave, how you should leave, that you definitely should leave. All different reasons, all types of, well, they all sound like this, basically. I'm showing you the spectrum of reasons pretty much that aren't, the typical Duluth stuff, the abuse wheel. But just this is the real reason. Most marriages break up because of irreconcilable differences. This is irreconcilable differences. This is what it is. This is all it is. It's women feeling unsatisfied. That's it. And expecting that husband to satisfy all of it. And honestly, I've been paying attention, and you'll never see a study anywhere that shows this, but some of it seems like it's at certain stages of life, which I can also point to would be also sort of turning points hormonally with us. So anyway, I totally lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, MS. Okay. So 2 things, the how to leave your husband, you should leave your husband, all the different things. And then the second one, and this is overwhelming. It directs me to tarot cards and all sorts of witchcrafty type things. Readings, tarot cards, all these things. And even saying this out loud right now, I'm sure my phone is listening, everything is listening, and all the powers that be, because don't think it's just TikTok and it's just the Chinese and that's the only place that stuff is coming from and trying to infiltrate. No, the beginning of womanism was in the occult. Read Rachel Wilson's book, Occult Feminism. So anyways, yeah, probably should have said that before the next one because I was getting kind of really strong, witchy, I hate to say vibes because then I sound like them, but that's what TikTok takes me towards. And women are getting very into that sort of thing nowadays. It's becoming more mainstream than ever before. Anyway, let's listen to this lovely lady and what her solutions are.
You finally realize your husband's not going to change. So what is the solution? What are you going to do from here? First, you have to ask yourself honestly, are you okay with leaving? Are you okay with walking away from this? Because he's not going to change. He's not going to give you what you want. It's been X amount of years that you've been asking for the same thing over and over and over again. Because if he cared, he would have changed the first time you asked. If he cared, he would have changed the first time you came to him with issues, or at least he would have attempted to want to work on them. But he doesn't, because it's benefited him to not do those things.
See, she has to leave because he clearly doesn't care. And a lot of times it's you work too much. Yeah, do you like the roof over your head?
Now you've realized that. Now what do? Do you have the ability to leave? If you don't have the ability to leave, whether financially or because you have kids, you have to just start living life for yourself. This is literally your only life. And if you can't leave, then you have to start living it for yourself. And if you can leave, if you have the means to leave, if you have the choice, you have to take a hard look and you have to really evaluate if you're willing to give up this relationship. Are you willing to leave a relationship that you have likely been in for a long time, that you have found comfort in, that is comfortable right now because you're unhappy and you know that it won't get better?
There it is. Because you're unhappy. Your happiness is your responsibility. I thought we were all so strong and independent. If we're so strong and independent, why are we requiring men to make us happy? That's actually one of the big strengths women have, is the ability to change our perspective on things and be optimistic. I know you guys are like, what women are you talking about? I'm talking about women who are uncorrupted. I'm talking about the great things about our nature. But you can hardly see those things now in the way they're supposed to be because they've all been, changed into worldly ways. And that's just another way of saying the devil's ways. It's all about wanting what you can't have. It's all about that fruit. It's all about the tree in the garden. It's all about that. It's the same thing playing out generation after generation, getting worse and worse. And here we are.
The honest question you have to ask yourself. And that is by far the hardest question. You have so many things to consider. But only you can decide what you're willing and able to tolerate.
And I bet not one of those things that you're going to consider is that children do better in two-parent families, and that man has a heart, and he's probably been with you through things, but none of that matters. What matters, are you happy? And that's about a feeling right now. And it's probably your hormones. You know what I mean? It's probably something to do with your hormones that you need to handle. And I know that this would make a lot of women angry, but they're not doing what's good for them. They're not happier on the other side of this. They're not. The only time they're happy on the other side of this is when they're like still in that sort of, I don't want to call it a honeymoon phase, but when they're like, oh, I'm just divorced and look at all these men who want me, because they're still good looking enough to get, that kind of attention. The men who only want the hanky panky, and they don't realize that, oh, that doesn't mean they like me. And so how many women are going to get older and older and be like, uh-oh, wait a minute, I'm alone. That's okay. They'll convince themselves that that's how they wanted it in the first place. Like I said, we're actually good at changing our perspective and changing the way we see things. It's just not being applied to our relationships the way it should be. We are not, whatever happened to making the best of it. Anyway, there's one more for you. My gosh. Yeah, I got the witchy vibes from this one coming up. Okay. You guys tell me in the comments if you get the witchy vibes from this one too.
If you've been thinking about leaving him and you are not ready for a hard truth, scroll on. Please do not watch this video. When I was deeply unhappy in my marriage, I came across a sign in Capitol Hill in Seattle, and it simply said, "Leave him." And I started crying immediately. And I don't even know how.
Okay. Why was there a sign in which he said Capitol Hill? Washington, D.C. Woo! That, I think in Washington, D.C., what did they vote? 90% for Kamala? Oh, that's totally a separate issue. I'm sure there's no meaning there. A leftist city is going to have a sign that says leave him. And she sees the sign and just breaks down in tears. Like a movie. Can you imagine? I mean, men are like, I know you guys are like, you saw a sign and you think it's for you. Women, we personalize everything. I catch myself doing it all the time. It's how we think. And it's not necessarily a bad thing when it's in the correct role. But as I've said, these things get perverted. So she's seeing a sign and it says leave him. And then she bursts out in tears. Okay, so that's just like the first sentence. So let's just keep going with this lady who's full of wisdom.
I don't know how I came across this, but when I got home, I read this letter from Dear Sugar, Cheryl Strayed, and it cracked me open. There was in me an awful thing from almost the very beginning. A small, clear voice that would not, no matter what I did, stop saying go. Go even though you love him. Go even though he's kind and faithful and dear to you.
Do you see the propaganda? You guys probably think, oh, she's talking about propaganda all the time. Propaganda this, propaganda that, the movies, the TV. But there is some that is like so just straightforward. Nowadays, leave him. And this, she just came home and found this letter in this book. No, lady, you're looking for these things. You're trying to justify it. And now you're going to use these cosmic things to...
Go even though he's your best friend and you are his. Go even though you can't imagine your life without him. Go even though he adores you and your leaving will devastate him. Go even though your friends will be disappointed or surprised or pissed off or all three. Go even though you once said you would stay. Go even though you're afraid of being alone. Go even though you're sure no one will ever love you as well as he does. Go even though there is nowhere else to go. Go even though you don't know exactly why you can't say. Go because you want to. Because wanting to leave is enough. This letter is like a magic spell. For me, at that time, in my deeply unhappy marriage, it told me exactly what I already knew was within me, that I needed to go.
It's just want. She just listed all that stuff. He adores you, this, that, the other, but it was deeply unhappy. That's a you problem, ma'am. That's a you problem. Go because you want to? You need to ask yourself why you want to. Therein lies the problem.
Go. And at other times, upon reading it, it's helped me see that I actually don't want to go. So may this passage serve as a magic spell for you, revealing what your intuition has been trying to tell you all along. If you
Whatever, it's clearly not intended for you to stay. That's not what they want. The women want to sabotage other people's relationships to justify the decision that they made. That's what they want to do. And it's destroying our society. It's only been the last couple of generations where divorce has been mainstream, common is a good word. It's only been recently in modern history, in the last, 50 years, where divorce has been common and kids have grown up, with a bedroom at mom's house and hopefully a bedroom at dad's house that he can see. What did Terrence Popp say, 96 hours a month? That you can see your father. And he's not really your father if he doesn't have the authority that a father should have, and he's not going to when there's a divorce. He's not going to. So, this is when you go, what's wrong with the kids today? What's wrong with the kids today? What's wrong with these generations? I think it's this. I realized I was slouching down. I think it's this. I think we're seeing the results of the nuclear family being broken apart. And that was one of the goals of feminism. In the early writings of feminism, when everybody thought, oh, they just wanted to vote. Well, read the writing. They wanted more than that. They wanted to dismantle the patriarchy. And to do that, you got to bust up the nuclear family. And guess what? They're doing it. The state has a vested interest to do that. That's why the state incentivizes women to divorce. That's why, and as someone said in one of the comments, and they're totally right, it's transfer of wealth. So it is statist, it is communist, it is feminist. So, but this is what they tell themselves, and this is what they tell other women. This is how heartless they are. And I thought about not bringing this video to you guys. I thought about it. But I was like, no, men want to know the truth. They do. And they're already being treated like this. It's not like this is worse, you know? But you need to know, by and large, it's not you guys. It's not you guys. And a lot of you already know that. I get it. I get it. But there are some men here that really don't realize that this is happening to all of you guys for these same stupid reasons, selfish reasons, entitled reasons, evil reasons. They just forget everybody else. Forget it. Forget what everybody else needs. Forget what's good for anybody else. So, what a downer. What a downer. Sorry. Such a downer. All right. I will bring you guys something funny tomorrow. How about that? I'll make you a promise. I'll bring you something funny tomorrow. I know exactly what it is. But yeah, it's something I've been wanting to show you guys for a while because it's pretty hilarious. It's about emotional regulation. And I promise you it's funny. So anyway, hit that like button if you haven't already. Share the show with your favorite feminist. Subscribe to the channel, please. And please remember to protect your peace, feed your souls, and remember that I love you, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.